Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of ELTea Time MENA, which is our MENA-based ELTea podcast that we run with teachers here in the Middle East and North Africa region. And as you know, for 30 minutes or so, we invite an educator who is based here in the Middle East and North Africa for a discussion on their choosing, a topic of their choosing, over a nice cup of tea or coffee. And our guest today is Tetyana Sheruda, and she's joining us from Jordan. She is Ukrainian of origin, but for the last 10 years, she's been living and working in Madaba, which is a city in Jordan, probably about 45 minutes south of the capital, Amman. She graduated from Kiev National Linguistics University, and her degree was in teaching Spanish and English language and world literature, which is pretty interesting subjects. And she's been teaching for over 8 years. And besides English, she used to teach maths and art as well, which is a nice mixture. You've got kind of sciencey based and also kind of arts-based approaches to teaching, which is nice. And she's taught all levels of students, from very young learners right through to teenagers. In the last year, she's been promoted to the position of supervisor, and she's responsible for the English department at a private school in Madaba. It's a large school. It's got almost 1,000 students, both male and female. And I think they're different departments, aren't they? They're segregated, the boys and the girls, in different parts of the school, which again brings perhaps its own challenges. A little bit about Tetyana. She loves learning and developing herself in various educational fields. She's always been interested in pedagogy and psychology. She's also a mother of 3. She's got a 16-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 3.5-year-old. So how you find time for professional development, I think, is beyond me, because that must be a challenge in itself, having 3 children of those very different ages. But I think she says that this helps her to understand teachers' concerns and their difficulties dealing with students of different ages, which I'm sure a lot of teachers can associate with. And her professional development in the online sphere really kind of started during the kind of COVID lockdown. She started to discover a lot of new opportunities, and she's been doing free online courses with both British Council and more recently NILE. And she's now interested in the areas of teacher training, which is part of her role as a supervisor as well. So that's a little bit about Tetyana from my side, kind of a brief bio. So first of all, I will welcome Tetyana. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's really nice to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very flattered and pleased, and I would love to share my experiences with NILE, with British Council, and in general, my work experience in helping teachers to develop themselves and cooperate with each other. And thank you for this great introduction.
No, welcome. It's a lovely introduction. So this is ELTea time. Normally we have a cup of tea. I was running a little late, so I've actually got coffee this morning, which is unusual for me. Your tea did arrive. Yes.
Yeah, I've got some tea, black tea.
Black tea this morning?
Yeah, without sugar.
Do you normally drink tea? Are you a tea drinker?
I used to be, but and I actually prefer like herbal tea or green tea.
Yeah.
But like recently, I become a coffee lover as well. It must be hot, It's cold in Jordan, so the main thing is that it is a hot drink.
Yes. And you've survived from the weather recently, right? We postponed last week. The weather was so bad, the school was closed.
We had very like stormy weather actually, and yesterday we had some snow, frost.
Yeah, nice. Yes, Jordan gets a whole range of weathers, very hot to very cold, from what I remember.
Yeah, we have different kinds of weather conditions. So
nice. Okay, so today the title of the podcast was Professional Development from Self to Other. That was the title that we came up with. And I think this particular podcast is not so much a particular topic as I think it is about a kind of story. It's about your story, and it's about your kind of professional development journey and how that's moved from, being a teacher, learning how to improve as a teacher, and then kind of taking that to the next step, going into management, and then this interest in teacher training that you've had, and how your ambition is really to kind of give back to other teachers and help them to move their own professional development forward. So I like to see this podcast today as more of a story, I think, rather than, we're tackling a particular topic, which I think is nice. We haven't had one like this before, so it's a little different, which I think is a nice thing. So because it's a story, I think we should start at the beginning. So let's go back and let's, I guess, elaborate a little bit on the bio. I gave a bio, a kind of brief introduction about kind of who you are, but I think it's nice to come from you. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you've kind of done up until now?
Actually, I worked in different kind of areas in business and so on. My journey as a teacher, as a school teacher, started here in Jordan, and I've always been interested in learning, in exploring things. And as you already mentioned, I even taught math and art. I love trying things, trying out, develop myself. And the second important aspect of my personality is I love sharing. I'm not a very competitive person or something. Of course, I had this kind of ambition to become a supervisor or coordinator, teacher trainer, but it all comes from my desire to share what I learn, to bring new ideas, to be innovative maybe in teaching, or to share it with people. And I did that in the past while being a teacher, and actually this is how I became a supervisor. This is how my path moved from being a teacher to coordinator first and then supervisor. And I realized that I need to have strong knowledge, strong base for to do things right, So all these courses and this development, it helps me, it gives me confidence, it empowers me with some new skills, and even maybe changes attitude in some cases. I develop myself and believe that I do things right when I get this training. So, teachers appreciated that, and this is how it was possible to become a supervisor as I'm now.
Yeah, I have one question for you because you were saying about you've taught maths, you've taught art, and you've taught languages. Do you think one of them, I don't want to say is one of them your favorite, but do you think there are different challenges between teaching different topics? Teaching languages must be very different to teaching maths.
I can actually find many things in common because it's still teaching. It's still, you have the same 40 or 45 minutes of a lesson, and you have your techniques. You have to have this rapport with your students, to have this environment that engage them in activities, and it is still learning. Of course, there are some specific things that you should know, and about these subjects, but there are many things in common, and it helped me a lot because I have my degree in teaching. It's not just linguistics or literature and language. It's about teaching. So as a teacher, it was challenging at the beginning because I thought, how could I do that if I'm an English teacher or Spanish teacher, but I have never taught math or arts. I was actually great at math when I was a student at school. I love these subjects. I'm a kind of person that love learning new things, exploring the world, and everything is connected. I cannot separate. Okay, we separate or we divide courses into different subjects in order to prepare our students, our children to our life. But in life, it's all mixed, and so yeah, it was a little bit challenging at the beginning, but then I could do that, and I was quite successful in teaching those subjects. And I love art. I love math. And everything around.
Another follow-up question I have, because you obviously you grew up in Ukraine, right? But you've obviously lived in Jordan for a long time. What about kind of approaches to language learning or language teaching between the two different? Because I remember that was one of the questions in the Insights research was, where you've come from and where you've taught in different places and different approaches. Are they very different approaches in Jordan?
I mean, yes, we have some issues with classroom management, maybe the nature of students and their behaviors and so on. It's quite different. So it was difficult for me to get used to my students, to understand them, to feel with them, and find this key and build rapport. But at the end of the day, they are all children, and we are not that different as it may seem.
Yeah, definitely. I just wondered whether or not, do you think, I mean, based on what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, do you think that children in Ukraine perhaps see the purpose of English in a different way to children in Jordan? Do you think children in Jordan see Arabic quite dominant, and they perhaps don't see the purpose of English in the same way that Ukrainian kids do? Because it's more close to Europe.
It depends on age. Young learners actually they are engaged in any learning when they are interested in this activity, or when they it's not, they do not really understand the purpose of learning English, or they are not motivated by this idea. They are motivated by engaging activities and so on. So this is something that is in common. By the way, in Ukraine, I would not say that this is like a second language, because we have this English as a foreign language and English as a second language. So in Ukraine, some people think, oh, you are from Ukraine, so it's like English language is almost like your native one. I mean, but it's not actually true. Here we have something in common with Jordan, that there are many people who do not speak English at all. And we have, German language as well at school, Spanish and French. So you may find people that they do not have basics. They are not able to communicate and even answer to simple questions in English. So the difference that I mentioned was in discipline, I would say. Maybe I mean it's in general attitude to learning and class management and teacher and so things like that, more than English as a subject. And by the way, like my nephews and they use English word from Macmillan to learn English language, and so I feel, I mean, they have something in common, and the situation is not that different, really.
There's just some cultural elements, I think, that's
this is what I meant by
cultural
differences.
Okay, so I mentioned just then about the insights, because that was one of the questions in the insights, looking at teachers' backgrounds. And I think let's start here, because this is where my path and your path intercede. This is where our stories join. Because in the middle of last year, I created a piece of research for Macmillan in this region, which we call the MENA Insights. And it was a piece of research looking at various aspects of teaching and learning, and trying to get as much feedback from teachers about the challenges that they have, the experiences that they have. And you obviously saw that Insights project that I was working on, and you completed it. And you were one of our winners. So before I move on to the kind of winning part, I just wanted to kind of understand how you saw it, where you saw it, why you were inspired, I guess, to actually complete that research. Because I was saying to you before the podcast, from my point of view, I want to learn as much as possible about what people are doing so I can create better, training resources and opportunities and activities. But it's hard for me to see that from your point of view. What strikes you as a teacher and makes you think, I want to do this? So, I mean, do you mind? What inspired you to do the Insights?
I first saw it, I think, on Facebook, because I follow Macmillan, and I follow different educational like pages on Facebook, and as well as on platforms. I think I got also an email with a notification about this survey. And also our manager from Macmillan in Jordan also informed me about it. She reminded me again that there is such a great opportunity to do the survey and to have this amazing chance to win such a really great prize. I was very interested in topic as it was very up to date and important, because this experience with COVID lockdowns that we had, and teaching online, blended teaching, and coming back and facing all these, learning gaps, and facing all these challenges with our students, and how to follow up, how to manage this situation. It was really, really important to know and to see and to do this kind of research. So I was really inspired that this is great, that you follow and you try to maybe come up based on this research, based on this survey. You will come up with some steps, maybe tips, maybe advice, helpful. So this kind of feeling that you are being supported, that we care, and so on. So this is at first I was attracted by the topic, and of course it's interesting to see the results of the survey, to compare our experiences with the people in other different MENA countries.
So that was the Insights. We did this, and as you mentioned, there was a prize. So, to make it even more attractive, we bought a couple of NILE online courses, which we offered as a prize draw. And we had Tom, who came, who's the director of NILE in the UK. And we did a prize draw together, Tom and I, in a podcast, actually, last year. And your name came up. He chose your word. I can't remember what the word was now. I think it was...
togetherness.
Togetherness, yes, that was right. Which is pretty much what we're talking about now, right? So
Yeah.
you chose your word, and I got in touch with you, and you chose the course. So there were a whole variety of courses that you could choose from, and you chose management in language education, right?
Yeah.
So
it came just right in time, because
yes,
I was a new as a manager, as a supervisor, and I had my kind of perception of this job, but it's not enough. Yeah, I really wanted something to be empowered by, and to get this knowledge and new skills. So, I mean, I was really, really happy to. I have never won anything like this. I'm not. I do not consider myself a very lucky person. I think that anything comes to me, or I mean, I need to work hard on that. But this was a really, really great opportunity and surprise.
Yes. Well, maybe post-COVID is now your time. Your luck has changed, and
I would not say that I'm not lucky, but I don't consider myself to be like, I do not always win if I participate in lottery or in anything like this, where people win something just because, like by chance. I don't take chances. I just do things. I work and then I expect the results, So it was really a great surprise, and
That's
I
good. It's nice.
decided.
It's nice to have those surprises sometimes in life, isn't it? I think
Sure, yeah, it makes life more beautiful and
absolutely.
amazing.
So
So
it
yes,
sounds like, as you said, that it came at the right time because you've just taken on this supervisory position, and I think this is probably true for a lot of teachers. They are teachers for a long time, and then they move up the kind of ladder, as we say, into management positions. But management is a very different type of role, and quite often
definitely.
we're trained as teachers. We're not trained as managers, so it is a bit of a shock, I think, to some people to step into that position and see
Yeah,
teaching and learning from a different view. So let's think about the course a little bit in itself, because it was a NILE course, so it was an online course. So why don't you tell us about your experience of that course? What did you do? What did you have to do? What did you learn? All these types of things.
yes, sure. So the course is management in language education, and this is also like sounds very attractive because you may find many like master's degrees, and the topics may be like business management or teaching methods. I mean, in Jordan, we do not have that variety of educational opportunities for postgraduate students. But this course attracted me because it was exactly about management in language education, and it is very suitable for managers in like language centers, school departments like of English and or any language. So it's like a compilation of management and education, and it was really great. I mean, it was 8 weeks with 1 week. Like break. And the most important thing for me with an assignment, which gives us a possibility to apply our knowledge, to show our new skills, and actually do very practical task. I have chosen professional development plan. I did that for my teachers. I mean, the course is very, very practical. We analyzed our contexts, and there were like people from the whole world. We were a small group of participants, and this is also very useful for like learning process. We could communicate, we could enrich each other with our experiences. I have learned a lot. We started with like basics, analyzing our places where we are, our organizations, their structures and cultures, management like styles, leadership styles. We looked at the profession of a manager from different sides, from like different stakeholders sides, like teacher, manager himself or herself, like students and their parents, and owners of the organization, and so on. I mean, it was very intense. We worked like a lot, and so it was like the first time that the course is that useful and beneficial and practical. I'm definitely like I already tried some things that I learned from the course. And the important thing was there also about change management. We had like 2 units, 2 weeks, considering or exploring change process, factors that influence. And really, I had many insights about a teacher and a role of a teacher, like well-being of teacher, motivation, different factors, and so on. I mean, it is really great how to also plan this professional development of teachers, ways of dealing with teachers. I mean, each unit just was full of tips and all kinds of information, theoretical, practical. Even in terms of digital support, I've learned a lot. I explored different possibilities of how I can deal with teachers, even like online, Google Docs, some useful tools to use. And the most important thing, that our tutor Martin Clark was so supportive. He really cared about our achievements, and this is very important to feel that that this genuine interest in your success, in your learning. A very great support from him, and amazing personality, professional. He's an expert in education, and I just admire his personality. So this is very important to have, this kind of tutor, educator who can help you develop and encourages you and supports you all the way through, being soft sometimes, being tough sometimes, and with a great sense of humor. This is the most important thing as well. For a teacher, trainer, or educator, or even a manager, these soft skills play an important role.
Yeah, which is nice. It sounds like because you think, oh, I'm going to do a course in management in language education, and they're going to teach me how to set up systems and structures, and how to move people around and make things happen. That's how you think when you think of management. But it sounds like the course really drew on this soft side. It sounds like there's a lot of empathy skills being developed throughout the course. Seeing things from different perspectives. Because this is one of the things that I think is very difficult when you're a teacher, is you think we should do this differently, or this should change, but you don't see that change from a variety of perspectives. It makes sense to you as the teacher. You think, if this was like this, my life would be easier. But actually, if you was to implement that change from a management perspective, actually it doesn't just affect the teacher, it affects lots of other different things as well. So bringing in this idea of empathy and well-being and all of these types of aspects, I think is a really nice, because I've not seen the course, I've not done this particular course. So it's nice to hear that they've added and included these other really important aspects to management, I think.
Yeah, it was not just like theories and we have these kinds of structures, we have these kinds of organizations and cultures and styles. We analyzed our own context. We looked at our peer course peers or participant context, and we learn from each other. This is the most important thing. And then it's not about following one theory or steps of someone else. It's finding your own way and adapting your knowledge to your own situation, to your own environment and people around you. Definitely the biggest insight was that the success of any organization, any school or educational institution is in hands of a teacher. I would say that well-being of a teacher is at the heart of this success. And then we can assess performance, then we can set some rules and so on. The first thing is to ensure that teachers are supported, that we can hear them, that they feel valued. Mm-hmm. They call these hygiene factors. So we need to provide them first, then we can move to motivational forces and motivate them with some kind of growth, you will become a coordinator or senior teacher, or then we can add something. But first are those hygiene factors and well-being of a teacher is one of them. So, and it was nice to realize that these leadership styles that that I have them like naturally, or maybe I consider them right, they are actually like effective, and I'm doing a right thing.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
like that as I am with my teachers, being felicitator rather than dictator or manager, big boss, and so on. Yeah.
Which is important for you as well, building that confidence and helping you to realize that, okay, what I am doing is the right path. Because again, if you're isolated and you're a manager, it can feel like you're doing the right thing, but you need some external reinforcement of that sometimes. You need somebody to say, yeah, actually, these are good things. Stick with this. It might be challenging, but like stick with that path. Don't try to fall into, oh, if people are a bit resistant, make them do it. Because that's the natural tempting thing to do. They're not responding to this, so I'm the manager. I'm just going to have to make people do things.
Another like important thing is its flexibility, adaptability. So yeah, if you tried something and doesn't work, maybe you should look at something else and try other ways to see how things will change and so on. So flexibility is the key.
An important part of that is communication, right? A good manager can communicate, can listen, can ask the right questions, can say to their team, I'll accept that this isn't really working, so let's work together and think of a solution. It shouldn't just be me coming up with all the ideas. This is going to affect you. Give me your feedback and I'll take it on board.
It's important to let teachers say or express what they have, to listen to them, to listen and hear them out. I mean, this is like challenging and important part in a job of a manager. It's not just, manager is first of all, it's a great responsibility. It's not just like I'm the boss, I'm like setting the rules and laws and frames. This is about, again, being flexible and being able to hear people, to support them, and to see if there is any issue, maybe how to solve it with minimum like harm and with maximum result. And sometimes it's not about the result, how this path, how we reach to that aim or goal. Maybe it doesn't worth it if it's like too harsh on people around us. So so this communication is very important, as you mentioned, and even the way how to communicate. Do we ask? Do we like state something? It has much. This is very important. And the second course that I'm taking with NILE is also has a unit about how we give feedback, in which way, how we ask questions. I mean, even we trained like to change this way into softer way when giving feedback, when after lesson observations or any kind of feedback. I think that it must be, you need to consider your like language, you need to consider your ways of communication. It must be both ways, not just
Yeah, no, it's true. And it all comes down to this idea of valuing your team members. All of that communication stuff is about showing them that you value them. Valuing people is not just telling them, I think you're important, and I really value you as a team member, because people will do that. They'll have that facade of saying I value you, but they don't act on that very often. They don't.
Yeah, they do not really mean it. Maybe.
Yeah, you don't include them. You don't really ask them questions. You don't really take their perspectives on board. But I think good leaders do that. They value them. They listen to them. Yeah. They ask the right question. And we've moved into the next question a little bit, because I know you've done the management course that was with us, but you've also followed this up. You're now doing a new NILE course, which was done, I think, in collaboration with the British Council in MENA.
Yeah.
So what's the name of the course? What's the course you're doing now?
It is called From Teacher to Trainer. It's about teacher training and kind of. I thought there may be some like many similar things, but actually I'm so happy that I have these opportunities, really. I mean, many things that I thought that I have this good knowledge and I'm doing them right, or like I explored many new approaches to training. To this is about, like, developing training sessions, training courses, and how to do them like correctly from the point of view of content and processes, procedures, how to adapt some like ready-made courses or any material that may be useful, for how to consider again these teachers' needs and interests. This is the like baseline information, and we just start with it in any like course, and especially in management or teacher training course. That first thing is you need to know your people, your team. You need to know them, I mean, very well, their needs, their like development ambitions maybe, and even personalities, because you need to know how to encourage them, how to support them. So yeah, this course is great as well in its way. I mean, we also have a task. We have this assignment. We had many practical tasks after each unit. We had quizzes. I mean, it helps to stick to the point, and very specific, questions to answer. It won't work, if you just like click next and finish the course this way. Really, I mean, we had to work on on building our new knowledge and skills. And again, we had many great peers in the course from MENA region countries, from Libya, from Egypt. And it is great to know these new people and share with them our experiences and contexts. And I mean, the tutors from NILE are just great. What can I say?
I was going to ask, because you've been doing this with lots of people from these, just like Libya and Egypt, so more local, but also global as well. I wondered if there was is there anything that's kind of stood out from the things that they've said in terms of what they've done, their challenges? Anything that's kind of jumped out? You were like, well, that's super interesting. I've never thought about that before.
I found it very interesting, first of all, because they are from different countries, from different organizations and institutions, and it helps you to like reflect on your own situation and on your own like experience, and compare. Maybe you learn without like having your own experience. You learn from others, and you may already like decide, would I do that, or would it be interesting for me to work as a, for example, professor assistant in a university or something. So when also they write, they give feedback, they mention something, their own experience, their previous maybe learning, previous courses that you you even learn from them. So it's called like constructed learning in NILE. I mean, when we construct together, like in cooperation and collaboration with each other, we build our knowledge. So it's just, I mean, it's really interesting to see this all kinds of jobs. During our life, we can't try everything out, or experience by our own, I mean, on our own skin, so to say, different jobs and positions. But this way we can see, I mean, how people do those things in China, in the US, and this is, I mean, and again, to come up with something that is innovative maybe in our place, but like compilation of different experiences from different people and countries. Yeah, but it was a surprise, or it was like interesting to notice that sometimes when we like listen to some jokes, that we were all from different countries. I'm talking now about the first course, management course. There were people from Ireland, from China, from the US, from Spain, and I mean, we are all from the whole world, but we could understand, those jokes, and it is nice. It is nice to feel that we are all people and we are like the same in many things.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really great to realize that we can understand and laugh at the same things.
Yes, yeah, it's really nice, and we, like I say, we share so many commonalities with everybody, but it's also nice, I think, in this experience to see that, we think of education as kind of one journey. Like we go in kindergarten, and we go through primary, and we go through secondary or high school and university, but actually approaches to that are very different, ideas to that are very different. So while the journey of education might look very similar, there's so many different approaches to that pathway, and we're all at different stages of it, and always continuously growing those ideas and changing those ideas and learning from other people about their approaches to it. Oh, you guys do it like this, or and even just things like starting school. You go to Scandinavia, they start school at 7, and you come here to the UAE and they start school at 3, and all these different ideas and approaches that help us to, I guess, I don't think of the right word, just flourish, I guess, in our own minds, what we then think education should be, and how we should approach it. So it sounds like all of these things are so beneficial to you. And the last part was about moving that on. So you're learning so much, you're absorbing so much, interacting, you're questioning, you're reflecting. You're doing everything that's kind of at the heart of professional development. And your ambition is to feed that forward, to feed that into these other team members that you have, that you're responsible for now. And I guess so we're coming to the end. So I guess my final question is, you've been advancing a lot, certainly in the last few years, and you're trying to now feed that forward to other teachers. How many other teachers do you have you're responsible for?
There are 15 teachers, including kindergarten teachers of English.
So you've got quite a number of people you're responsible for, and each of them will be at their own stage. They'll have their own interests. They've got their own personal lives that impact on them. I guess the question is, I don't want to say, is there any resistance to change within your school? But there might be. But what's it been like trying to take all of those ideas and actually implement them? Are there challenges to that? Have you faced, or is everybody on board?
Yeah, sure. It's not an easy thing to combine, or to use the same approach maybe, or to deal the same way with all the teachers, because you may find novice teachers and very experienced teachers teaching levels like KG and teenagers. So you should find approaches and these keys to people, I mean, in order to understand them and to see how you can change things, or how can you improve something without like pressure, how to overcome this resistance that you mentioned to change. And this is a very interesting topic, and we consider it during our 2 last units in this management course. These steps, how the change can be introduced to the to people and their possible reactions, how to keep going, how to follow up, how to support, and so on. Because we can bring maybe beautiful and very interesting sessions, training sessions, and if we do not follow, if we do not receive feedback from our teachers, from people, all these efforts may just disappear, or can be given in vain. I mean, so for sure, yes, but I mean, I have a great team, and I try to be very clear about my intentions, about my like actions, and the ways how I deal with them. I try to listen. I try to not just listen. You know, sometimes people like or managers, oh, we listen to you, and I can hear you, but then. They do not do anything that maybe teachers asked for, or like at least like implement those ideas that they mention. I try to consider all these reactions and responses to our collaboration with them, and see what they need. I mean, because everyone learns in different style, in different way, in at different speed. So this is also to like I try to move step by step without overwhelming them with the information or number of changes. So it's just like some small tiny changes, but at the end of the day they will make a difference. I hope so. I hope
I'm sure they will. Okay, we're running out of time because we've done 45 minutes. So the last part of the podcast is always around your kind of favorite teaching tip or favorite tip for teachers. Do you have a favorite teaching tip that you would like to give?
You already mentioned that it's reflection. I mean, you need to like be reflective on your own teaching after each lesson. Rethink again what and ask yourself a question: can I do things better than that I'm doing now? Can I be better teacher? Maybe I can try something new. Maybe I can like ask, be open, be reflective, be curious, never stop learning, and so on. And this like approach to life, to teaching and learning, will make your life more enjoyable, not that boring. Maybe I mean, it's really great to learn and to reflect on what you're doing in the class and in general about everything, about everything. So it's great to be open to new things, to ask people around. And I was very pleased to hear from my teachers that they many of them like have great experience and long experience, and their feedback is like, it's the first time I feel like I'm not competing with anyone. I'm working in a team. So this is the best feedback I've ever received. I mean, and I always tell them that I'm nothing without you. You are, like we work together. We are one team. So I'm interested in your success, and you are interested in mine. And if we all succeed, our students will benefit from all these new changes, new things that we try to implement, introduce in our teaching. Yeah. So that's it. I think this is reflection is important.
Yeah, it's a great tip. And right at the end, when I was going to follow up and say two things actually. One is that I guess my tip, based on what you've been saying, is that change takes time. It's not quick fixes. It's working together, being a team, figuring it out, but also giving yourself a bit of time and space to allow those changes to happen, because there's a lot of stakeholders. You've got to think about how students will react to it, how parents will react to it, how as a team it's going to be different. The change is going to impact on each of us in a different way. So give yourself some time. Change isn't easy. It requires work and it requires time. That was one aspect. But actually, you made me think of something else at the very end. You were saying about students. And I think everything that you've said in this podcast is been kind of from management to teacher, us as a team. But actually, it's a really good model for students as well. All of those things really relate to students. We should value them. They should be communicated with, listened to. They should feel valued in the classroom. So by creating that atmosphere at the teacher level, at the management level, at the institutional level, we're actually modeling to students the kind of education we want to provide for them as well. And hopefully they will respond to that. Hopefully it'll be more engaging for them, more motivating for them. They'll see the purpose of it. They'll feel valued, listened to, that we take their ideas on board when we're creating activities or, all these types of things. And I think that's a really important part of this type of development. It's not just us developing as a team. It's actually all of it's around what the student can achieve in the future, how we make that experience for them, continuously better, I think.
Yes, I totally agree 100%. Our success is the success of our students. So this is the result of our efforts, and this is the most important thing in education. This is why we teach and we learn, because we want to teach our students better and become better teachers for them, first of all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those things that you've mentioned, they feed into our personal lives as well. If you can reflect within your profession, you take those skills outside of the class. You reflect at home. You start listening to family members. You have better conversations. And all of those aspects of your life kind of become more illuminated, I guess, if you're curious. Yeah, and I'm sure you've experienced that. We didn't really talk about your kids at all, but this curiosity, I'm sure, when you ask them questions and you're interested in their lives and what they're interested in, that rapport, relationship improves.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we should set a great example, or like be a role model to our students and to our children at home, for sure. Thank God I have like a teenage daughter. She helps me a lot and she inspires me sometimes. And I'd like to inspire her. I'd like to show her that, look at me. I try to learn. I take all possibilities and opportunities to learn. And this is amazing. I mean, this is a fun process as well. It's not like something, boring, reading books and writing summaries or something like that. I mean, it's very useful and I'm interested in things. So I'm exploring, discovering. Parents must be inspirational, and I hope that I inspire my kids as well. I mean, I try to understand them, listen to them, and yeah, this is great that you mentioned that students also learn to collaborate with each other, to come up with some ideas as a team, and not like share their individual talents and produce something great, because one person cannot do as well as in team as grouped when grouped with others.
Take that to the next level.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we've come to the end. Thank you so much for sharing your story. My favorite part of that podcast was right at the end, this whole part around you and your daughter and her inspiring you. That's my favorite part, I think, of this podcast, that she inspires you and that hopefully you inspire. And I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do inspire her, because
hopefully
listening to your story, I think, has been quite inspirational. So I'd like to thank you once again for giving your time today to come and share your story with us and with anyone that listens to this as a recording in the future. We hope anyone who did join us has enjoyed our discussion. And don't forget, we have other ELTea MENA podcasts available on the YouTube page. But from me, I'd like to say thank you again, once again, and I look forward to seeing everybody again in the future. I'll let you also say your own goodbye. That's nice.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. So the Global Teachers Festival is on. It's about to start, I think, in about 5 minutes. So people probably have time to grab a quick coffee. Have you registered for any of the Global Teachers Festival events, Tetyana? It's going for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got.
Yeah, I was a guest in yesterday. Like, I mean, I was not a guest, like speaking something, but I attended yesterday's webinar about science of learning.
Yeah, I was there as well.
Yeah, it was quite interesting theme, and I registered to, like, I think almost all the webinars with your speakers and experts in teaching and learning. So I mean, Macmillan's webinars are always something special, and I mean, I learn a lot always from those like webinars and people, interesting guests and so on. Really, really helpful stuff, I would say, beneficial.
Great. Well, I'll give you a few minutes before it starts if you're going to watch this one. You might be watching later. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. I'm glad you learned some things today. And we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks because we have a Springer Nature author joining us for the next podcast. So keep your eyes open for that. And I will see you guys on the other side in the Global Teachers Festival. Tetyana, thanks again, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.